Hey, everybody, it's Kyle Jetzel. Hey, today I want to talk to you about something that was really interesting to us because my wife and I had read all the books and we were still struggling as parents. And I mean, we had read, seems like hundreds. I could go count them if I wanted to in my library, but we couldn't figure out were we just bad parents? We'd read all these books and we were still struggling and we couldn't figure out why. And today I want to talk about something that we learned as we started digging into it real deeply. And that was two things that we learned. And the first one, to describe the first one, I want to share with you a story about my oldest son. When my oldest son was a little boy, I remember one of the things that I would do to him to reward him was that he loved McDonald's French fries. It's pretty obvious for a lot of those kids, a lot of our kids. But what I would do is I would take him over, and many times when we would order these French fries from McDonald's, they'd be super hot. And so we developed what we called the French fry cool down method, right? And what I taught him to do is I would give him the French fries, they were too hot to eat, so we would crank up the air conditioner, and he would hold the French fries in front of the air conditioner until they cooled down, and he could pop them in their mouth. And he was a pretty little guy, and so I would do it for him, and he would eat them. Well, eventually it got to a point where I looked over one day, I handed him his French fries, and he was performing the French fry cool down method all by himself. And I thought, what a smart little guy, right? But then I realized something very interesting, and it was this. Number one, the French fries weren't hot this time. And number two, the the air conditioner wasn't even on. And it kind of reminded me of how he understood the technique, but he didn't understand the principles behind the technique. And as I looked at reading all these books, one of the things that a lot of them tend to miss is they teach you tricks and techniques, and you try those tricks and techniques. But if you don't understand the underlying principles beneath them, a lot of times those tricks and techniques don't work. So the things that they're telling you to do as you're raising these strong-willed or spirited kids just don't work. And it's because we as parents didn't understand the underlying principles underneath them. So that's one of the things that we cover in what we're now calling the Shelley method of raising parents. The other thing which I thought was pretty interesting, and this was I went back and looked at tons of the books, and they would tell you what to do. And sometimes that stuff, the what to do was pretty good, but they never taught you how. And let me explain what I mean by that. Um, Many of us know what we should do. We know that we should be patient and kind and loving, but we just can't do it when the crap hits the fan, right? So we can't. The what to do is not a problem. It's the how. How do we do it when the world is exploding around us and everything is going wrong, and we just can't do it then. And that's really, when our kids are at their most challenging is when they need us to be at our most patient and kind and loving, but that's when it's the hardest. Well, in our Shelley method, we also teach people how to do that. So two things, again, that the books a lot of the books, we read all the books and we were still missing was the principles behind the techniques and strategies that were taught in these books, number one. And number two is the how. And that's why I'm so excited about what we are teaching in the Shelley method, is what we're calling it. And because what it does is it covers those two things in real depth. And what we noticed is after we put the Shelley method in place in our family, and it took us really years to develop the Shelley method, but once we had that Shelley method, we were able to go back and take these books, and it magnified all of the strategies, all the tactics. It magnified what we were learning in other books and made it come to life because we understood the principles behind it now, and we were able to do the how. And that's one of the most important things I think that any of us can learn. So hopefully that's helpful. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.